Hi, I'm Terry Calls, and my presentation is about some things you can do to reduce unwanted noise when recording. The first thing to remember is that no recording environment is completely silent. Even the quietest professionally designed studio descends to some base level of noise. Remember, the quieter the source you're recording, the bigger a factor the general noise in the recording space becomes. When you record a real instrument or vocal, you are also recording the space in which you perform. The goal is to have as clean a recording as possible. A clean recording provides the most flexibility as to how to use that track within the final recording. Here are some tips you can use to reduce acoustic noise during the production or recording phase. Listen carefully to the room tone to identify the noise in the space. As you listen, you probably hear a number of noise sources: the fan of your computer, the buzz of the fluorescent lights overhead, and the sound of the heater or air conditioner with its blower pushing air into the space. This sounds obvious, but avoid noise sources. Move away from noise sources like your computer fan and windows. Turn off noisy, unnecessary electrical equipment like the air conditioner, fans, heating, TV, and appliances. You can also reduce acoustic noise by mic placement. The closer the mic is to the sound source, the less of the space you pick up. Also minimize acoustic noise by choice of mic. The mic's polar pattern determines how much of the surrounding space is included during recording. Using a directional mic to isolate the source from a noisy environment works best. Create an acoustically isolated space. Remember that when you record a real instrument or vocal, you are also recording the space in which you perform. A professional studio spends hundreds of thousands of dollars in acoustical analysis, planning, and construction of their live rooms in order to give them a fabulous ambient room sound. Face it, it is unrealistic to expect a recording of an acoustic guitar recorded in your bedroom with all your stuff in it with a $100 mic to have the same quality as that same guitar recorded in a top studio using a $4,000 Neumann U87 microphone. That being said, there are some things you can do to improve the overall sound of your recordings and to minimize acoustic noise. Minimize the effect of the space by stopping the reflected sound behind the source. You can do this by not having hard, flat surfaces behind you. Even something as simple as opening your closet with your clothes hanging in it and recording in front of the open closet with the mic facing towards the open closet may help isolate the space. Try to acoustically treat your performance area. Besides doing the on-the-fly minimum we covered earlier, you can do things to improve the recording quality of your space. You can put in bass traps and some acoustic treatment in your recording space. There are materials available on the market that won't cost a fortune that you can put in your space that will improve the acoustic noise level. Putting bass traps in the corners of your room will help a lot. Remember, every piece of recording gear and microphone has self-noise, and the goal is to minimize this self-noise in the signal flow. Here are some tips on how to minimize electrical noise. Use fewer pieces of gear. Each piece of electronic equipment will add its self-noise to the signal flow, so it stands to reason that the fewer components you have in the signal flow, the less self-noise is added to the recording signal. Use shorter cables. A cable acts a lot like a signal antenna, so the longer the cable, the more it acts like an antenna, and the more it is susceptible to picking up electronic transmissions in the ether. So the shorter, the better. Used balanced cables. XLR and TRS cables were created specifically to minimize the electronic noise that cables inherently attract. Minimize 60-cycle hum. The alternating or AC current power system we use has a built-in 60-cycle hum. The biggest villains for 60-cycle hum are light dimmers. If you have lights or light switches that have dimmers in your room, do not use those lights while you're recording. Tip number 5, avoid unnecessary gain. It's a simple rule. The higher the gain on a piece of equipment, the higher the noise level. So try to keep the gain level as low as possible. You can do that by moving the mic closer to the sound source. Tip number 6, use high-quality gear. There is a reason why two seemingly similar types of recording gear have vastly different price tags. And the reason for all this is to minimize the electronic noise produced by that expensive piece of gear. So that's my presentation on tips to minimize acoustic and electrical noise during the recording phase. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.